Hi, welcome to the channel or welcome back if you're not new here. A special thank you to subscribers, and if you're not one, I hope that you consider it by the end of this video. So today I will be giving an honest review of the 2025 movie named Love in Every Word.
I'm watching film. Watch a movie? Yeah.
It is a Nigerian romantic comedy. It already has over 3 million views on YouTube, last I checked. Wow. And this is just its first month. In this video, I hope to highlight a quick synopsis, the pros or positives I could find in the movie, some of my favorite scenes and quotes from it, as well as some of the negatives, all to ensure it's a balanced review. Please note that the following are just my opinions and my interpretations of scenes and interactions. I have no affiliation with the writers or studio to know their exact angles with the things we will be discussing, okay? Also, there might be some mild to detailed spoilers ahead, so please take note. Nollywood actress turned producer Omoni Ogboli and Tomi Adeoye serve as executive producers on the project. Grace Onya is the producer, while Daniel Uzodimma was the screenplay writer. It's directed by Stanley Obi, and it stars uber talents like Uzo Arukwe and Bamike, aka Bambam Olawumi Adeni Bunye, in leading roles as Obiora and Chioma. There is also an excellent host of supporting cast members. And I think this serves to prove that regardless of how limited or robust a movie's budget is, with the right cast and a good story, you can make something truly beautiful. Indie movies, independently produced movies, come out with surprise hits and stunners all the time. And I think that is the case here. So here's my synopsis of the story. This is a drama romantic comedy about Chioma, who is unsuccessful in love and struggles under an overbearing and abusive boss at her job. Although she takes pride in her job and her opportunities as a working woman, it's certainly difficult to work under someone like that. She has unfulfilled dreams of expanding her perfume side hustle business, but her ex-boyfriend has recently squandered her earnings in an apparent failed investment. She travels to Anambra State for an event, and while she is dodging her mother's matchmaking efforts, she meets a man named Obiora, aka Odogu. Initially, she wasn't looking for a new relationship as she was just getting over a troublesome one. Throughout the film, we watch them redefine perceptions and preferences, revise their type lists, and step out of their comfort zones. They bond and we watch love grow as they both also change and grow along with it. Love in Every Word is proof that love is about more than words. But when words are spoken, it doesn't matter the accent behind them, but the heart. Here are some of the pros I could find in the movie. First of all, the story is simple, easy to follow, and well executed. Next, the lead actress, Bambam of Big Brother Nigeria fame, is amazing and stunning in this role. Often when you have reality stars cross over to acting, you don't know exactly what to expect. You wonder whether they'll have the capacity to carry their roles. Well, with Bambam, any skepticism is quickly soothed, and she delivers an excellent performance. I'm not sure if she has a background in acting, but she certainly nailed this role. Whatever training or innate talent she has was on full display here. Her eye contact, her sultry voice, the delivery of her lines with a natural ease, as well as her chemistry with her cast members made her a total joy to watch. She was certainly in the zone during the shoots. You could tell. That authenticity in her acting is one thing I feel the audience connected with. It might seem oxymoronical to use the word authenticity when you're talking about acting, which is itself based on pretense, but actors win awards for how convincing they are at portraying fake scenarios all the time, so I think it's still fitting to say so. She made the character charismatic and likable, So much so that no matter what the character was doing, even if you didn't always like it, you would find yourself rooting for her, hoping that she would make the right choices and find happiness in her life. And that's the feeling a good protagonist elicits. I loved the casting decision and the juxtaposition they were able to create with the core of the plot. Seeing as Obiora spoke with an accent, while Bambam through Chioma speaks her English with a more international flair, it worked out very, very well. I loved the juxtaposition it offered to the plot. And if they had gone with a different direction and chosen an actress whose accent was more neutral, it might not have provided the necessary contrast that the story needed. I also liked the decision of going with a Yoruba actress, someone of Yoruba descent, to play someone who is Igbo in the movie to show Nigeria's diversity and our oneness and unity in that diversity. Besides, I think Bam Bam was able to deliver her Igbo lines very well. Another major pro in this movie was the lead actor, Uzo. I think he was absolutely hilarious and very endearing. He was believable in every scene. When he was goofy, you laughed. When he was in love, you awed. When he was heartbroken, you felt for him. And when he was angry, you sympathized with him. Uzo in this role to me redefined what an Odogu should be. He shouldn't just be the man his money makes him. He should be kind, funny, a good listener, a go-getter, but not forceful. Able to take no with no bitterness. He should be disciplined and willing to protect his lady's dignity, even from himself, or sometimes from herself. And most of all, he should be an Odogu in character as well. Some men are rich, but morally bankrupt. So, an Odogu should be just as rich in character as he is in cash. So, bravo to Uzo for his excellent portrayal. He was able to put forward a worthy representation of what a good man should be. Another major positive for me in this movie was the good use of stereotypes to teach a solid lesson, powerful lessons in fact. The use of stereotypes in movies is not always well handled, so I applaud what they did here. They were able to do, like I said, two very powerful things. First of all, they were able to teach acceptance, and that there are things that are more important about a person than how they speak. I would say how someone speaks is the shallow end of what they actually say. Just like how someone looks is the shallow end of who they actually are. It's the speaking equivalent of content over form, or character over skin, as Martin Luther King often tried to teach. Chioma's exes, like Davis, spoke well, but said all the wrong things or a whole lot of nothing.
All I'm asking for is $2,000. You and I know $2,000 is it's not a big deal. You have it. I know you have it. Alright, so don't be stingy, just... Look, Larry, it's been 2 years. Leave me alone now. I'm in a relationship, don't you get it? We're done.
We're only done when I say we are. What? When I say we are.
Here we see someone who says the right things, just with a bit of an accent.
It's okay. The truth is that I didn't want to meet you myself, because I gathered that you have a boyfriend, and I don't have any business chasing another man's woman, so...
Listen to you. I want to hear you talk. I just want to hear you talk.
Actually, it's not like I don't want to go inside with you.
Okay.
I just don't want what we have to be about sex.
The second powerful lesson it teaches, maybe not overtly, but it's certainly there in the story, is the fact that an accent is not an indication of intelligence. Just like South African comedian Trevor Noah once said, an accent is someone speaking your language with the rules of theirs. Simple.
An accent is just somebody speaking your language with the rules of theirs. That's what an accent is. So don't speak down to them. Don't patronize them. Speak to them the way you would to yourself. Just try and learn their accent. That's all it is. It's just another accent.
I absolutely love this quote, and I never forgot it since the day that I heard it. Look at Obiora. He's obviously intelligent. Intelligent enough to understand Chioma when she speaks. When she references things like having to make a pitch and such, he's able to follow her train of thought. He is also intelligent because he's rich, and we know that making and managing money requires a certain level of intelligence. And finally, he displays a whole lot of emotional intelligence. In fact, to prove this, he makes one of my favorite quotes from the movie, where he says, "Just because I'm angry with you doesn't mean I have to be mean to you." I absolutely loved that.
My being angry with you doesn't mean that I have to be mean to you. Nice.
Another major pro in this movie is the supporting cast. The supporting cast is absolutely excellent. It was really good to see healthy, non-rivalry filled female relationships on screen. Their unwavering support for Chioma during her breakup with Davis and her court case with him, as well as during her reconciliation with Obiora, was a joy to watch. The supporting cast included people like Amanda Iriikben, Thelma Chukwunweren, Susan Jima, Osereme Inegbenabo, and Daniel Rocky Obiora. It's quite interesting that this Daniel Rocky Obiora, who plays Davis in the movie and therefore Chioma's ex, is answering in real life a surname which is the name of her love in the movie. It's just interesting. I could continue on with praise for the supporting actresses. They really did give memorable performances and helped to sell a very believable long-term friendship that they were supposed to have. Chioma's assistant was also very good in her role. Her boss was annoying, as she should be, because that's what the character demands. I honestly wondered why they named her Miss, or is it Mrs. Njoku?
Miss Juliet Njoku.
Maybe because if you separate the words or the syllables, Njo and Oku sound like the Igbo words for evil and fire. I don't know, maybe that was a creative choice. I just found it interesting. Another major pro in this movie is certainly the chemistry. Everyone's chemistry with everyone was very, very good. So whether it's between Chioma and Obiora, that is Bambam and Uzo, excellent chemistry. You can just see the hashtag ChiObi forever trending online in this fictional world. That's how believable they made it. The chemistry between Chioma and her mother was also very solid.
Cash madam! Oh, your money! Come on, that's your business now.
And her mom was very, very funny, I must say. The chemistry between her friends, like I mentioned, her co-workers, everything. Very good chemistry in this movie. Another major, huge, gigantic pro is with regards to the character arcs. Some movies seem to forget that the characters are supposed to have arcs in this. So it was good to see that the writers included that. Chioma ends the movie a better woman than when we meet her, and so does Obiora. Clearly she gets over her trauma, her prejudice, she leaves her terrible job, she starts anew, she finally picks a good man, so very, very good. In fact, to go a bit in depth in this, let's review a bit of her character arc, then we'll do Obiora's. So Chioma's can be divided into three. The first is with regards to the handling of the topic of trauma, as well as her prejudice with the accents. The choice to append or tie her dislike of men with such an accent, quite a shallow premise at first.
Was screaming shallow. It was screaming very shallow, so I just expected more.
But to tie it to some deeply rooted trauma was a brilliant choice, in my opinion. They took something shallow and were able to make it deep. A lazier writer might have left the story more skeletal, but I'm happy they chose to drive in some depth and not opt for a quick fix. Now, one can argue whether this was a strong side story or not, but for me, it supplied what we needed from a character arc, which is growth, trials to overcome, and reasons. Another aspect of her character arc was certainly her finding the courage to leave her dead-end job and the stability she thought it provided. Then the third really good part of her arc was getting to see her relinquish control and not trying to use her position in a relationship or how much money she makes and how much she's able to spend on her kept men as a way to control the outcome of those relationships, which obviously were unsuccessful attempts. It was good to see her release her trauma and fear of the second shoe falling. This time she actually let herself fall in love, and that was a good arc. Now for Obiora's arc, which is tied to his Odogu storyline. He learns to release his pride, as he has to overcome rejection several times, as well as 2 major mini breakups along the way. I'm sure it couldn't have been easy for a man who walks into relationships accustomed and usually hoping to be in charge. And with this position, he's usually the one to determine when a relationship starts and when it ends. It must have been a major test and trial for his character to overcome, relinquishing that control as well, because we see Chioma being the one to restart and end their relationship on more than one occasion.
Hold up, Mr. Man. Nobody's saying anybody's in love with anybody. I just said I liked you, okay?
You know what's there? Lagos girls and Shakara and premium Yangan 5 and 6.
So here he learns that when it's real, the power in love is often and supposed to be shared. Another part of his arc is to learn that he can't control everything with his money. He learns he can't buy everything and everyone he wants just because he's rich. And to learn to stop insulting Chioma by using money in that way. Gifting someone something and attempting to buy their affections are 2 completely different things. Kind gestures are good and encouraged, but they should be done for the person instead of as an attempt to try to get something from that person or to get them to do something that is according to one's will. One of those instances is for love. The other is clearly for control. And believe it or not, most people can tell the difference. Back to the pros now. Another major one is with regards to the good dating lessons the movie gives us. Some of the major messages it shows are that first, find a partner that listens and wants to listen to you. Second, find one that dotes on you. Third, one that is attentive to your needs and interests, as we see Odogu is certainly attentive to a lot of things that she's interested in. He was attentive with regards to her job. Even at the diamond store, he noticed what she liked and he tried to pick that out for her. That's intention. Another is to ensure that there's certainly a flirty connection, but that your partner shows an interest in you that goes beyond the sexual kind, you know. Then the next is to find someone who is self-aware and emotionally intelligent. Like Odogu said, someone whose anger doesn't affect their care for you or concern for you. One final pro that I must state is certainly that I enjoyed the Igbo serenade scene that Obiora was able to organize for Chioma. He was trying to get her number at the time, and I thought it was very cute, sweet, different. It really reminded me of Eddie Murphy's The Naughty Professor scene, where Professor Clump is expressing his love for his sweetheart and serenading her with Mexican musicians. Sadly, he gets interrupted by his alter ego buddy, but thankfully that is not Obiora's fate, so it was a nice, cute little touch. Now to the negatives that I could observe in the movie, and I would say there are about 3 or 4. The first is with regards to the plot conveniences. I think with this it goes from mild to more annoying, but the first would be that I found it funny that the same man that her mom wanted to introduce her to was the very man she ended up meeting herself.
Just come and meet him. I have 7 other people.
Quite the coincidence. The second is with regards to Davis, the ex-boyfriend, getting his trust fund.
I finally get my trust fund. This is the first thing I'm seeing.
after years of living off her. And then she so happens to have a lawyer friend who could help go after that trust fund to recover what he's taken from her. I don't know, it just seemed to come out of nowhere, and it also just seems like they made her friend a lawyer just for this purpose.
I want to carry. Baddest lawyer in town, Ify.
So anyway, plot service happens all the time, so no problem. The next plot convenience, and I would say the most annoying, was when Odogu Obiora walks into the same diamond shop as Chioma and her friends are shopping. I just found it interesting that he's at the same shop on the same day at the same time. Now, of course, they tried to make this look a bit less creepy by saying he's there to pick out something for his niece. Yeah. The dude bought an entire building just to get her number. Did his niece graduate that day? Why was it the same day and the same place? Of all the jewelry shops in Lagos, he had to pick the one where she was at. I don't know, it just seemed like an opportunity and an excuse to run into her and then buy her things, because it seems gift giving is his love language. So, I don't know. I mean, coming off buying the building and stuff, this was just a pile on, honestly. The next major negative is with regards to the use of the modern woman trope. And I think there are about 3 instances I can give of this. The first is regarding the portrayal of the sexual forwardness we see from Chioma, and also the encouragement of it from her friends. Honestly, that was weird to watch sometimes. Honestly, that was somehow... especially considering that Chioma had just come out of a long-term relationship, and she had only just met Obiora. And yet we see that on 2 occasions, he has to be the one who has to slow her down. I mean, even in this fictional world of the movie, what she is doing is not normalized. Get that. Even in the movie, it's not considered normal. It's not written in as a rule that this is acceptable. And if it was, Obiora would not be rejecting her, trying to protect her dignity. And honestly, going further with this, Chioma following Obiora to his room the first day they met is hasty and quite unsafe, especially considering the fact that she is not shown to have told someone where she was. Though she was from Anambra, we don't know how familiar she is with the city, as she doesn't live there currently. Thank goodness for plot protection and it being a film's fictional world. She was certainly lucky that he was a gentleman and didn't take advantage of her that night, or worse, try to harvest her organs or body hairs for ritual purposes or for organ trade. Look, just because he's rich doesn't automatically make him safe, because you don't know the source of his wealth. And if people won't accept the moral or safety reasons for why this is problematic, then perhaps a scientific reason would be more persuasive. Scientifically, there is a reason why females of almost every earthly species are picky with their choice of male partners and male mates.
All animals have mating rituals. Ducks are no different. So do you know how ducks choose their mate? It's all about the dance, baby. The male with the most attractive dance is the one that's most likely to get chosen for mating.
Ever wondered how animals choose their mates? For example, the male peacock's extravagant feather display dazzles potential mates and warns competitors of his vitality. Similarly, birds of paradise perform acrobatic dances and create dynamic visual symphonies to attract females. Interestingly, some species emphasize subtlety over spectacle. Male bowerbird, for instance, construct intricate structures adorned with carefully chosen trinkets to lure females.
The female eagle flies higher at a great speed and drops a branch. The male, which manages to catch the branch in the air and gives it to the female eagle from beak to beak, will continue the contest.
Look, women have to be selective because they bear the brunt of wanted and unwanted pregnancies. They suffer the high risk of potential DV in relationships. they suffer infidelity at higher rates, and also abandonment if they make faulty or rash choices and decisions. Clearly, even in this story, we see Choma's mother suffering as a result of this infidelity issue. And that's not to say that maybe she was promiscuous or this is a result of a rash decision. You could be very decent and very careful and still make mistakes. But what we're saying is the odds are already stacked against women in some ways. Therefore, it's probably best not to add to the possibility of those odds coming true. So, therefore, it's for those reasons that, unfortunately, we can't play the same games, because SMEX is riskier for women the more casual it is. Continuing with the modern woman trope, the second is with regards to Choma trying to propose to Obiora after her sweet, long apology towards the end of the movie. Honestly, I found this funny. It was just cute that she tried to do that. Then the third example, I think, would be Choma holding the belief that men and marriage restrict a woman. While that is sometimes true, I've met, I know, and I'm sure you've met and known men who support their wives having dreams, pursuing a career, starting a trade, or going back to school. Remember, women are not the only ones modernizing. Men are too. Besides, some of these so-called restrictions occur because once a legally married couple comprising of consenting adults agree to have a baby together, embedded within that decision is the understanding that no one is better equipped to care for a child than the one nature selected to bring that child into life. Besides, it's important for people to know that a truly supportive partner will back you up whether your dreams are towards a career and money making or towards being a mother and homemaking. It's just for you to set the priorities you want for your home, relationship, and family. The next major, huge, gigantic negative would be with regards to the poorer uses of stereotypes. I mentioned in an earlier aspect of this video the use of stereotypes in this movie in a positive light, but unfortunately there are 2 or so occasions where stereotypes were used poorly here. They fell into the trap where stereotypes are used purposelessly and gratuitously, mostly for laughs. There's no real reason for them. There's no deep lesson or understanding embedded in that use. The stereotype that Igbo people too like money. Igbo people like money. It plays out with Choma's mother, especially when Choma was indecisive and was backing out of taking her relationship with Obiora further. And we see her mother in one scene pitching to her that she should consider Obiora, not because he's good for her daughter's happiness, no, but because he's wealthy and can help their family. Now, I found this very jarring and uncomfortable because almost no good mother would do this. So I don't even know why it was written this way, except to perpetuate a stereotype. So note please, not every Igbo person, not every Igbo man, woman, mother, or father thinks like this. And that is why we dislike stereotypes, people, because they don't account for the fact that people exist in various shades and ranges. No one attribute fully encapsulates what it means to be of a particular tribe, tongue, or race. However, I will note in the movie's defense that it shows Choma, who is herself Igbo, not being someone who is money hungry. She provides a good contrast for this that could break the stereotypical portrayal. She seems quite content with her life, with her earnings, and isn't easily swayed by his gifts, and isn't jumping at his promise to invest in her business. So it's certainly a part of her story, and I acknowledge that attempt at creating a balance. And if there's time, I'll add this story. I know of an Igbo woman who many decades ago told one of her suitors, who was using the promise of going to America as sort of bait or so to encourage her to marry him. And when he wasn't getting the reaction that he wanted, he said, "But everyone wants to go to America." And she excellently retorted, "I am not every woman. My name is this, that. So I'm not everyone." And that was very bold and showed a lot of self-confidence. A very wise retort, because you may say, oh, this is so many years ago, but the truth is tricks like that still work, even today. The next stereotype that I think was poorly applied comes with regards to, I think they're eating out after they had finished from the diamond store at this point. And the friends are talking and they mention something about Chioma or someone eating a dog, and it's associated with a Calabar person. And I was like, see, as Calabar people just catch stray bullet. Honestly, I found that scene a bit cringy.
Went to eat our neighbor's dog without realizing it. Yes. You remember now? How can I forget? Oh my god. Oh, that Calabar guy, what's his name again?
I know this stereotype is based on some truth. There are some people that do eat dogs in that part of the country, but not all of them do. And from what little I know, there are some that are uncomfortable with this stereotype. And I guess it's mainly because it doesn't represent their reality, but it's put on them just once people hear they're from Calabar. I felt it was not really necessary for the scene. It was pointless, so an unnecessary use of a stereotype. And so then the final negative, which I'll just state quickly, is him showing up at the jewelry store. Like I think I've complained about that once before here. It just appeared stalkerish, you know, especially after buying the building. It was like Oga was doing too much. Oga was certainly insistent, was certainly insistent.
I guess you're persistent.
You know, on the same day. But I know it's meant to be sweet, and its purpose is to be cute, and he is portrayed as harmless, so we will take it like that. My final thoughts on the movie. On the enjoyability scale, I would rate the movie a high 8. It's quite enjoyable. Its production is simple. Location and props were limited. The soundtrack is largely uneventful, regular, you know, but that doesn't really affect anything. So basically it delivers on the writing, the acting, the story, and that is good enough. Besides, the sound quality was solid and the lighting was good. I don't know too much about these technical issues, but I would say I could hear them very well. I could see where they were going, what they were doing, so I would say the lighting and the sound were good. It also had good pacing with a easy to follow flow, and there were no real dips in the tempo. There were no moments where you would zone out. So it keeps a good even pacing throughout the runtime. Another thing I would praise with regards to production and crew is the makeup department. I think the makeup that they used was very good, so kudos to the makeup team. I also must applaud Bam Bam for being confident to go makeup free when the scene demanded it. And you might say, why am I even praising this? This should be expected, this should be regular. Considering that we have had movies where you see someone walk out of a shower with a full face of makeup I think this is applaudable. Of course, this doesn't happen as much now, but in recent times, as the dependence on makeup is growing, most women prefer their faces made up, especially on televised appearances. But when you're acting in a movie, you're trying to mimic reality in some ways. So when the makeup isn't supposed to be there, you can take it off. It makes sense in the scene, so I applaud her for that. Another department that deserves a shout out would be the costume department. Bam Bam's outfits were stunning. They really complemented her body well. Bam Bam with the body. It was very good, very fitting for her role, considering she's earning $750 in Lagos. She has a good job. She's living on her own. Her outfits matched her position in life. So very, very, very good. Uzo's dressing as well. I think the costume department did well with regards to dressing him. I know that it's easy to get into probably wanting to overdress him and put him in extravagant clothes that don't match the occasion or the scene, but the department showed a good amount of restraint. He certainly dressed well, but not overdone. And to be honest, in most Western societies, wealthier people dress more simply because they have the money, the confidence is already there. They don't have to mask it with their clothes. So I'm glad that they had him looking like a normal rich man and not like a peacock. So my conclusion is that the movie is quite well worth the watch. With its runtime of approximately 1 hour 55 minutes, that's about 2 hours, it's a solid choice. It's family friendly, there's no nudity, thankfully. Though, as it is a romance, there are some kisses here and there. The language is mainly not vulgar, but there are discussions around mature topics, for instance, romance, workplace insults and difficulties, as well as infidelity with regards to Bam Bam's father. So feel free to check out the movie, and I know that some people will watch it and say, wow, yeah, I see why people really like this movie, while others would watch it and say, what's all this hype about? One thing you have to understand is that our movies have a way of being. What appeals to the African, particularly the Nigerian market, may not appeal to others. It's the same with Indian, Korean, and any other country's movies. No matter how popular American movies are, there are some that might be winning Oscars and yet the whole world is raising eyebrows. So as to why. Each movie industry is different, and considering that ours is pretty young and terribly underfunded, the government needs to do much better with supporting our entertainment industry, our sports industry, the arts. I mean, it's amazing how much of a cultural shift entertainment can create. There's a reason why American culture is so popular, and it's tied to their movies and their music, as well as even with regards to the rise of Asian entertainment, from Bollywood to what's happening with Korean productions. So these industries have the power to change the perception about a people. They should be invested in, but that's a discussion for another day. But like I said, poor funding is a major hindrance because most of our movie productions are privately or personally sponsored, either by the person making them or by their inner circle or close circle of friends. So why am I saying this? For you to know that when Nigerian watchers look at a movie, we're not necessarily judging the diversity of the locations, the props, or the camera quality alone. We're typically judging the enjoyability of the story. Did it have good jokes? Was it a fun drama? Did it teach a good and worthy lesson? Did it have an interesting plot? Were the cast members convincing in their roles? And we're also probably looking at if it's a reflection of daily life, if it has relatable events, and if it is significant culturally or features a good portrayal of our culture. These are the things we look out for. And then, of course, there's just that Nigerian oomph. You know, if it has it, it has it. I can't exactly tell you what it is because it's difficult to reduce to words, but you know when you feel it, and I think that's what happened here. There's just a feeling about it. You know, it has that vibe going for it. So I think this is a good place to conclude the video.
I already know how this thing is going to end.
Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, thank you. I hope you liked this review. Tell me that you did by leaving a like or a comment below. I'd really appreciate it, and it helps with the algorithm. Tell me also, have you watched the movie? Share your thoughts. And you can feel free to add your opinions as well. And if you haven't watched the movie,
If you want to, you can join us if you like.
tell me why, or tell me if you're considering watching. Also, I hope you will consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do, thank you. And remember to ring the notification bell so that YouTube informs you the next time I upload a new video. So, wherever you are, and whenever you're watching, have a good day or a really great night. See you in the next video. Bye-bye. Bye.